So, when the horizon disappears, your gyros are your absolute best friend.
Absolutely critical, especially in IMC.
But for us, the GA pilot, what if those trusty instruments fail? Today, we're doing a deep dive, trying to cut through maybe some of the dense textbook theory.
Yeah, get to the practical stuff.
Exactly. Focus on what genuinely empowers you in the cockpit, especially when it comes to, well, understanding and trusting those essential gyroscopic instruments for your ESA B by R.
Right. It really comes down to navigating when you can't see outside. Instrument meteorological conditions. So yeah, we're talking your attitude indicator, your heading indicator, and the turn coordinator, the big three.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really quite fascinating is how two basic physics principles, rigidity in space and precession, they directly govern basically everything these instruments do, every spin, every indication.
Okay, rigidity in space and precession. Can you break those down a bit?
Sure. Think of rigidity in space like a fast spinning bicycle wheel.
Yeah.
Once it's really going, it strongly resists any attempt to tilt it. Yeah. It wants to stay fixed, stay in its plane.
Okay, like it holds its position.
Exactly. And precession, that one's maybe a bit more counterintuitive. If you push on a spinning gyro, the effect doesn't happen where you push. It actually happens 90 degrees further around in the direction it's spinning.
Huh, 90 degrees away.
Yeah. And look, these aren't just terms you memorize for the exam. Understanding them is really key because they're the invisible forces making your primary flight instruments work, or sometimes not work as expected.
So, okay, understanding this isn't just about, ticking a box on the theory test. How do these principles, rigidity and precession, how do they actually translate into performance for us, maybe in a typical Cessna or Piper?
Good question.
What are the limitations, and maybe more importantly, how do we spot the signs, the subtle hints that something's going wrong when we're really relying on them?
Right. Let's tackle rigidity in space first. It's basically the heart of your attitude indicator, your AI, and your heading indicator, the HI.
Okay.
Because that gyro inside just wants to hold its orientation, remember. So your AI gives you that stable artificial horizon, no matter if you pitch up or bank. And the HI, well, once you set it, it holds that heading pretty well.
So that's the what it means in the cockpit part. Stability for my main references.
Exactly. Incredible stability. But, and this is important, it also creates limitations. Your AI, for example, it has pitch and bank limits. Go too far, like in aerobatics or an unusual attitude.
It tumbles.
It tumbles, yeah. Becomes useless for a bit until it sorts itself out. And the heading indicator, it's stable, but it will still slowly drift over time. That's actually precession, causing a slow drift.
Ah, okay.
Which is exactly why you need to keep cross-checking it against the magnetic compass, every 15 minutes or so, and reset it. Knowing about that drift stops you chasing a heading that isn't really there.
Okay, so rigidity gives stability, but with limits like tumbling and that inherent drift in the HI. What about precession then? You said that felt trickier. How does that show up, good ways and bad ways?
Yeah, precession is where it gets really interesting, and it's something a lot of pilots might not fully grasp the why behind. On your turn coordinator, precession is actually used on purpose. It's designed in.
How so?
Well, the gyro's spinning axis is deliberately tilted. So when the aircraft yaws or turns, that applies a force, and the gyro precesses, tilting the little airplane on the instrument to show you the rate of turn. That's its whole job.
Ah, okay, so the turn coordinator uses precession.
Precisely. But precession also causes errors in other instruments. Take the attitude indicator again. When you accelerate quickly, inertia pushes on the gyro housing. That's a force, right? So it precesses and might incorrectly show a slight pitch up, decelerate, and it might show a pitch down.
Okay, I think I've seen that.
And then your heading indicator turns themselves can cause precession errors, making it drift a bit faster, especially if the bearings inside are getting a bit worn.
So those little inaccuracies we see sometimes, like the AI momentarily showing a climb during a rapid acceleration or the HI drifting a bit more in a turn, that's precession.
That's it, exactly. Precession at work.
Okay, how do we remember this stuff? For the test, sure, but more importantly, when we're actually flying.
Good way to think about it. For the test, remember the turn coordinator uses precession. The AI and HI suffer from it as an error. Simple as that.
Okay, uses versus suffers.
Now, what that really means in the cockpit is learning the telltale signs of a potential malfunction. If your AI starts slowly, consistently pitching up, even when you know you're in level flight, or the HI is drifting way more than usual, that often points towards a failing vacuum pump, or maybe low suction. Less vacuum means the gyros aren't spinning as fast, they have less rigidity, and so they precess more easily. the errors become much bigger.
So it's not just that the instrument freezes, it might just get unreliable first. Sluggish.
Exactly. Or if your turn coordinator, which is often electric, suddenly gets sluggish or stops indicating turns properly, that's likely an electrical issue you need to check. You're looking for behavior that's inconsistent or abnormal, not just a complete failure necessarily.
So examiners might ask for the definition, but what really matters is spotting that weird drift and thinking, why is it doing that fast enough to react?
You got it. It's connecting the symptom to the potential cause, recognizing that subtle, abnormal behavior before it becomes a full-blown emergency.
Yeah, and connecting this to the bigger picture then, knowing what to look for and fundamentally why it's happening seems vital. It's crucial for staying in control or maybe deciding to divert safely if a gyro really starts acting up in IMC.
Absolutely. It's less about just passing the exam and more about becoming a genuinely prepared, confident IFR pilot who understands their aircraft's systems.
It's that difference between knowing what examiners expect and knowing what actually matters when things go quiet, or rather when things get confusing in the clouds.
Which brings up a final thought, perhaps. How does really understanding these principles, rigidity, precession, and their failure modes, how might that actually change things for you?
How so?
Well, think about it. Does it change how you do your pre-flight checks on the vacuum system, or the instruments themselves? Does it change your scan pattern in flight, making you maybe cross-check the compass more diligently? Or does it just change your mental preparedness? Knowing why instruments behave the way they do, both normally and abnormally, maybe transforms your approach from just, flying the airplane to truly managing it, especially when you're in the soup. That's something to think about.